This was a spree killing as opposed to a serial murder, as opposed to a mass murder, where he kills and then in a very short period of time, he then killed again.
Bulletin went out immediately. The uncertainty of having somebody driving around with that kind of a mindset, it's horrifying.
Mom and Brian aren't gonna walk out of there, are they? Broke the law enforcement people's hearts when they had to tell me no, that they weren't walking out.
In a world often clouded by tragedy and adversity, there are stories that shine as beacons of hope and resilience. Robin Doan's journey is one of those remarkable tales. From the depths of a devastating family tragedy, she emerges as a symbol of unwavering courage and determination, reminding us that even in our darkest hours, the human spirit can rise above, casting a brilliant light on the path to recovery and renewal.
Do I really have to talk about what happened this morning again?
The young girl you're observing in this video is Robin Doan, who is just 10 years old. 5 hours prior to this recording, Robin was peacefully sleeping in her own bed at her family's residence, where she resided with her caring family members. Her mother, Michelle Conrad, her stepfather Brian, and her older brother Zach. The Conrads were highly regarded in their town, and often seen as the epitome of a harmonious family. However, on the night of September 30th, 2005, Robin's life was about to take a dark and distressing turn. At 3:50 a.m. that fateful night, Robin abruptly woke up to a horrifying ordeal, which would eventually escalate into one of the most harrowing home invasion cases ever witnessed in the state of Texas.
911, what is your emergency?
Ma'am, there was a shootout in my house. I don't know.
Is there anybody else in the house with you?
I don't know, but I'm scared.
Robin Doan, at the age of 10, initially believed her harrowing experience was merely a nightmare, but her awakening was a stark reality. Her ears were filled with screams, shots, and the ominous footsteps of a man who sought her out. Remarkably, Robin managed to outsmart her assailant, surviving the ordeal. Even in the aftermath of such trauma, she found the courage to confront her attacker in a court of law. Her determination was unwavering. She sought justice to ensure he paid for the irreparable harm he had inflicted upon her.
I've endured this, but you're not taking my life away from me.
In the peaceful town of Pampa, Texas, Robin Doan enjoys a contented life alongside her mother Michelle, her stepfather Brian, and her elder brother Zach. The date is September 29th, 2005. As Robin prepares for school, an unexpected surprise from her stepfather awaits her in the kitchen.
Brian made me breakfast that morning, and it was actually pancakes. Those are my favorite.
Her day begins on a delightful note, filling her with happiness, especially considering her mother's pregnancy at 5 months along.
I was gonna be the greatest big sister ever. When we got home, my mom started trying on maternity clothes, and there was these god-awful maternity stretchy pants. They were terrible. And that was all I remember.
On the morning of September 30th, around 7 a.m., the sheriff's office received a deeply unsettling phone call.
Sheriff's office, 911.
Ma'am, there was a shootout in my house. I don't know who's alive in my house, and I'm scared.
Where are you at?
7142 Highway 70. It's about 13.3 miles out from the bowling alley. You'll pass a house, the next one over. I have a purple shirt on. I have purple pants on. Please, can you just send somebody out here?
Somebody's coming. Somebody's coming.
Immediately, the 911 operator sends out the patrol unit, with a frightened 10-year-old Robin remaining on the line. Officers rush to the location, unaware of the impending challenges they are about to encounter.
Is there anybody else in the house with you?
No, I think I'm the only one alive. I don't know, but I'm scared. I want my mom.
The operator strives to gather as much information as possible from Robin, while simultaneously ensuring her comfort and safety.
What's your name?
Robin Doan. My parents are Michelle Conrad and Brian Conrad.
You don't see any other vehicles or strange people around your home or anything?
No, ma'am.
You didn't see a car drive off of any kind?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I can't believe it.
Okay.
And all I want right now is my blanket and my pillow. I'm scared.
I know you are.
I'm scared.
I know. Stay right there.
I just couldn't get there fast enough. I could not get there fast enough. What in the world could have taken place, and why is she the only one on the phone?
I hear more sirens.
Yes, they're coming. I've got the ambulance and the fire coming for you, okay?
I want my mom.
I know you do. I know. There?
Yeah, I see another police car.
I'll never forget when I turned down the driveway.
Oh, I see him. I see him.
This child, she ran straight to me. I hugged her. As distraught as she was, she's very articulate, just telling me in absolute detail what was going on and what she heard and everything.
Former Deputy Sheriff Chad Brooks, with no initial knowledge of the situation inside the house, prioritizes Robin's safety as his primary concern. Given the remote location, he places her in the patrol car, securely locks it, and then proceeds to join the other officers inside the house.
The east door to the residence had been kicked in. Everything was in place. The coffee was set to come on the next morning.
The entire house bears an eerie stillness, with no signs of theft or disruption. Upon reaching the master bedroom, officers discover Brian Conrad, Robin's stepfather, suffering from 3 fatal wounds. Michelle, her pregnant mother, has been hit 6 times. In the children's bedroom, Robin's teenage brother, Zach, bears 3 hits as well. Even Molly, the family dog, has been hit twice. Law enforcement officers confirm that Robin is the sole surviving member of her family, yet there is no trace of the individuals responsible for this horrific act.
Chief Deputy looked at me and we looked at each other and he said, "Go be with that little girl." I said, "Is there anything I can do for you, Robin?" And she said, "I want to feed my animals."
Inside her bedroom, investigators uncovered 2 shell casings, yet, remarkably, Robin remains unscathed, an inexplicable twist in the tragic event.
How that bullet missed Robin, I do not know. It struck a little drawer next to her bed.
While Robin may have narrowly escaped death, her safety remains uncertain. Officer Brooks transports her to a children's support center for further questioning. In a room equipped with microphones and cameras, a female interviewer gently poses questions to Robin about that traumatic night. But it's clear that Robin is deeply distressed by the ordeal.
Do you know why you're here today? To talk about what happened this morning. I really don't want to go to sleep anymore. Okay. It makes me to where I'm too scared and I really don't want to go to sleep. Okay. So, okay.
They asked me, "What do you remember? Can you describe what he looked like?"
I don't know this for sure, but I thought I saw a white eyes, white face. Okay.
The chief deputy sheriff instructs the interviewers to inquire if Robin heard any commotion and, if so, to determine roughly how many shots she recalls hearing.
She never hesitated in her answer of 15 shots. Through the course of the crime scene investigation, 15 fired rounds were found inside the home.
And when he shot, I saw a flash. And so I seemed like I was dead 2 whole hours. I can't talk about it. Okay. It's too heartbreaking.
Everyone loved the Conrads. They were what we would call salt of the earth kind of people. They were real people that we loved and cared about, and they cared about others.
We had no idea who had done this, why it had happened, or where those people might possibly be.
Would do this to this family. We had no clue who this was.
In addition to the shell casings, investigators uncovered shoe prints and tire tracks at the scene. However, they lack any DNA or fingerprints. It becomes evident that this was not a burglary, and in such a senseless crime, the motive remains vague. While local authorities in Pampa diligently probe the case, they remain unaware that the key to solving this mystery is connected to a crime that occurred in another state 14 hours earlier. On September 30th at 10 a.m. in Pineville, Missouri, the sheriff's office received a distressing call regarding a double homicide.
It came in that there were 2 people, and they had both been shot They had just come home from shopping. They still had bags of food in their hand.
Once I stepped in, I found a bullet casing and saw a shell lying on the floor and saw Miss McCool downstairs.
The victims are identified as 70-year-old Orly McCool and his 47-year-old daughter-in-law, Dawn. A grim discovery reveals that Orly had been hit once, while Dawn had been hit multiple times. Bafflingly, nothing appears to have been stolen from the house, pointing towards a calculated execution. However, it's evident that the victims hadn't been lifeless for an extended period. Among the clues, a grocery receipt suggests that the crime occurred around 2 p.m. on September 29th, a mere 14 hours before the tragic incident in Texas. As the police meticulously investigate the crime scene, they make another startling revelation. Orly McCool's truck is missing. Swiftly, the red Dodge pickup is registered in the nationwide computer system as stolen. But there's more to this unsettling puzzle.
We were looking at the ammo, the shell casings, and one of the other deputies there that does a lot of the crime scenes and said, I just took a burglary report. Well, Mr. King had reported that his son Levi had come into the house while he was gone and broke into his gun safe and stole several guns.
The Pineville police have linked the double homicide to Levi King. However, Levi King has managed to escape capture, having a 24-hour head start on law enforcement.
Bulletin went out immediately. The uncertainty of having somebody driving around with that kind of a mindset, it's horrifying.
At this juncture, the Missouri case has a suspect, whereas the Texas police in Pampa continue to grapple with a lack of leads. Then, a startling development emerges for the Missouri crime scene investigation team. Levi King has been located and apprehended for questioning.
Levi King was found in the truck by the Border Patrol in El Paso. He admitted having guns in the back. Well, that drew their attention.
During the interrogation, Levi King confesses to committing the crimes in Pineville.
How many times did you fire? He spun. You walk by to the door and you see this woman. Why, explain to me why you shot at her. I was scared. I didn't know what was gonna happen to me. You know, I was panicking.
Although Levi appears cooperative, it's important to exercise caution as appearances can be deceptive. Forensic psychologist Dr. Louis Schlesinger provides insight into the behavior of a psychopath, highlighting that they may feign cooperation while concealing their true intentions and emotions.
On the surface, he looks fairly normal. In fact, it has often been said that psychopaths mask their underlying disturbance. He doesn't look bizarre, he's not dirty, he relates well, he's responsive. But the fundamental problem and deficit with a psychopath is a lack of attachment to other people.
As the Missouri authorities close the McCool case, following Levi's confession, the investigation into the Conrad family massacre in Texas hits a frustrating standstill. Weeks pass without any fresh leads, leaving little Robin haunted by the fear that her family's assailant may return for her.
At this point, we felt like we probably were not going to be able to solve this case.
A breakthrough occurs when King requests to speak with one of the deputies he had formed a rapport with during his time at the Missouri jail.
I had been told by a couple of the detention officers there in the jail that Levi had asked to see me and speak with me.
King is escorted out of his cell and into the outdoor exercise yard, creating a more relaxed environment for him to open up. It's in this setting that he finally provides the crucial information that unlocks the mystery surrounding the Conrad family homicides.
Levi King says, you know, there's 4 more in Texas. Nobody was hunting him, nobody was questioning him, so I don't know why he made that statement.
On September 29th, Levi enters the McCool residence and carries out the horrifying crime. Following this brutal act, he embarks on a 14-hour drive across Oklahoma and into Texas, eventually breaking into the Conrad family's home to commit another crime. Astonishingly, Levi's motivation for these heinous acts, as he claims, was rooted in anger towards his father.
This was a spree killing as opposed to a serial murder, as opposed to a mass murder, where he kills and then in a very short period of time, he then killed again.
Levi King, born in 1982 in the tranquil town of Pineville, Missouri, grew up in challenging circumstances. His father, Scott King, raised his 7 children in a rundown house located just outside of town.
There was no sewage, there was no electricity, there was no running water. Lots and lots of spent ammunition.
Levi and his siblings endured a harrowing upbringing marked by the constant threat of their volatile and unpredictable father. Levi began displaying signs of antisocial behavior at a young age. At the tender age of 4, he ignited his sister's curtains during a heated argument. Furthermore, his abusive father subjected him to cruel acts, instilling a disturbing and troubling trajectory in his early years.
From the stories that we got, it wasn't at all unusual to hear automatic weapons fire coming from the King house on the hill. The police were scared to go there.
Levi's troubled childhood paints a grim picture. By the age of 13, he delved into substance use, all of which were introduced and encouraged by his father. When examining Levi's upbringing, it becomes apparent that his criminal actions may indeed be rooted in the traumatic environment created by his abusive father and the challenging circumstances he faced during his formative years.
But you have to keep in mind, his brothers and sisters did not wind up doing what he did, and they were raised in the same family.
If there was ever a case where a man deserved to die, it was Levi King.
I was 14, about to turn 15, when trial was taking place. I was going to be sitting in front of a murderer who had killed my loved ones. And to testify, I didn't want to, but I knew that I needed to for my family's sake. I was the only one that got to walk out of that house. They didn't, and they needed a voice too.
When Robin Doan takes the stand, she is confronted with the chilling presence of the individual responsible for the crimes against her entire family, standing just a few feet away from her.
I had to avoid looking at Levi King as long as I possibly could, and finally I couldn't resist the urge anymore because I wanted to see who had actually done this. And so I looked at him, and the stare that I got back was the worst feeling of my entire life.
Now, she must courageously recount the horrifying events of that night, reliving the trauma in order for the jury to gain a full understanding of the harrowing ordeal she endured.
That night, I was having a nightmare, and I remember hearing the gunshots in my dream, but when I woke up, it didn't end. The gunshots were actually going off in my house. My mother started screaming and screaming and screaming.
In that critical moment, Robin swiftly exits her bed and crouches beside her bedroom door. A sudden silence replaces the screams, and she detects the ominous sound of heavy footsteps drawing near her bedroom door. Reacting on instinct, she quickly retreats back into her bed, pretending to be asleep, her heart pounding in her chest.
He fired 2 rounds off at me. I had one of them graze my left leg and my left arm.
He turned and he opened up my brother's door. And he flipped the light on, and that's when he shot my brother. And I knew that my brother's really gone. I knew that there was no chance that he'd be alive.
In a state of desperation and profound fear, Robin remains absolutely motionless on her bed for a grueling 2 hours, dreading what might occur if Levi King discovers she's still alive. Throughout this agonizing period, she listens to the criminal inside the house, creating discord by ransacking cabinets, tossing objects, and making loud noises. Her thoughts are consumed by the question of who else might still be alive. As the early morning light filters through her window, Robin is awakened, and the once tumultuous house falls into a chilling silence. Summoning her courage, she rises from her bed and ventures into the hallway, unable to bring herself to look into any of the rooms. With trembling hands, she seized the phone and fled outside, needing to escape the nightmare that had unfolded within her home.
I just remember, adrenaline rushing through my body.
Sheriff's Office, 911.
Ma'am, there was a shootout in my house. I don't know who's alive in my house. Please, can you just send somebody out here?
Somebody's coming. Somebody's coming.
It felt like an eternity before they got there. I just remember running to the first person that got out of that car, and I hugged him.
He told me everything was gonna be okay. They were gonna figure it out. Kept playing games with myself in my head. When is my mom gonna walk out of there? When is Brian gonna walk out of there? Where's Molly? I wanted all of my family to walk out of there just like I did. I would never ask the question, who's still alive? I wouldn't do it. Like, I just wouldn't do it.
Robin, trying to find solace in the field with Sheriff Deputy Chad Brooks, temporarily distracting herself by tending to her animals, ultimately realizes that her dreadful reality cannot be escaped. It's in this moment of painful recognition that she gathers the courage to ask the haunting question that weighs heavily on her mind.
Mom and Brian aren't gonna walk out of there, are they? Broke the law enforcement people's hearts when they had to tell me no, that they weren't walking out of there.
In the courtroom, Robin's composure shatters as she recalls the vivid and traumatic memories of that fateful night, her tears bearing witness to the enduring pain she carries. However, her emotional breakdown doesn't mark the end of her testimony. She has one more crucial statement to make.
The hard part about Robin testifying was to see the pain that precious little girl had to go through and endure. And then to see her say, I've endured this, but you're not taking my life away from me. I am not giving you that kind of control.
I said, I forgive you, Levi King, I forgive you. I told him that to his face in court. That was me taking 1,000 steps forward and never taking any back.
I don't want to live with being bitter and being angry all the time for what had happened. Me forgiving Levi King, it was my sense of peace, and it was my sense of, this is how I was raised, and this is my family coming out.
Following 7 hours of deliberation, the jury delivers a verdict of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Thanks to Robin's courageous testimony, Levi King is destined to never harm another person. This outcome brings a sense of relief to Robin, as Levi King is extradited to Missouri to face the consequences of his actions.
Texas is my state. I don't want you back in my state. You've already done your damage here. Pampa is home. It's where my mom and Brian and my dad all raised me. It's not saying that I want to stay there forever, because I don't. The dates that are really hard are birthdays. Zach's birthday, Mom's birthday, Brian's birthday. I don't expect you to pity me, and I don't want you to, because that's not how I am. I want to be just like everybody else.
While Robin will never forget her beloved family, she now finds solace in the companionship and support of her newfound friends, who are there to help her on her journey toward healing and recovery.
We did keep in contact, and later on, when she turned 16, Robin invited me to her birthday party.
I have had a really good relationship with Chad. When I hug him, every time I see him, it's that same hug I got the day that he came and he was the first one to me. It's like a safe place.
Despite knowing that her wounds may never completely mend, Robin Doan steadfastly rejects being defined by the tragic events that befell her. She courageously embraces the strength to move forward and shape her future. In the midst of deep sorrow and immense loss, Robin Doan shows incredible strength and bravery. Her story is a tough journey through really sad times, but it's also about refusing to let those times define her. Robin doesn't let her life be only about the sad things that happened. Instead, she's an example of how people can be strong and determined, even when faced with really tough challenges. She's like a shining light that reminds us that even when life is really hard, we can find the strength to keep going, rebuild, and take back control of our lives. Remember, it's your curiosity that fuels this channel. Keep exploring, stay inspired, and join us for more amazing content next time.